last question about many years ago, I'd read and since then got involved with learning about your material prior to that through the teachings of Seth. Wonderful material. It was said through our scientific discoveries about what cancer was and so forth. And I believe I had read this or heard this somewhere, but under an electron microscope, a cancer cell is one of the most beautiful looking creations. And they were always saying, how ironic that something so beautiful is going to kill you. And of course, come to read about what, cancer and blockages and energy sort of thing.
Well,
I find it...
anyone who's excited about expansion could be excited about the expansion of anything, including cancer itself.
Right.
And when you look in the microscope and you see a fast-moving cancer, it is a sight to behold. In other words, the regeneration power is dramatic.
It's creativity that was being blocked. Is that a good way to
Well,
look at it?
and yet it is creativity of its own. In other words, the cancer itself is creation in motion. And
Right.
so what we're wanting to bring the topic back around to is that anything that you give your attention to becomes something that expands. And as it expands and you're giving your attention to it, it expands even in relationship to you. And so there are two ways of looking at this, and we're going to give both of them to you, and then you can pick the one that works best for you. When you start with the premise that this is an environment, a universe, a planet, a time-space reality of well-being, and that well-being is the only source that flows. In the same way that you don't walk in a room and look for a dark switch because you don't expect to flood inky, misty darkness in to cover the light. You know that you can move a switch that will resist the light, but the source is light. And in the same way, there is only a stream of wellness that can be disallowed. So if well-being is what is natural, but I focus upon things, this, that, and the other, that cause me to feel negative emotion, and in the feeling of negative emotion, I'm being indicated that I'm choosing to activate thoughts that are not in alignment with who I really am, so I am, in your words, blocking. It's really too strong a word. Disconnection is too strong a word too, but I am muting the well-being that would be there otherwise. So, and that's the premise that we like you to begin with. We like you to accept that well-being abounds, and that unless you're doing something that is not allowing the well-being will be there. But then you take it from the other perspective that we talked about, and that is that whatever you give your attention to is expanding. This is an expanding universe. It's a universe based on inclusion, not exclusion. So when you look at something that you want and you say yes to it, you include it in your vibration. When you look at something you don't want and say no to it, you include it in your vibration. So by giving your attention to the cancer that you do not want, or to the whatever problem was that caused the resistance, that disallowed the wellness, that showed up as the cancer, you get what we're talking about.
Oh,
In other words, so once a manifestation occurs, most people cannot help but look at the manifestation. And that's why diseases progress so dramatically once diagnosis happens, because now not only are you doing whatever you did that disallowed the wellness, but now you're looking at the spot and other people are looking at the spot, and that's why it expands. And we think that some of the amazement that people feel as they are looking at us, they can hardly believe how rapid the expansion is. And we say all things expand when you give your attention to them.
Absolutely.
Things wanted and things not wanted. So the key is not to look at the cancer and try to destroy it with your thoughts. You can't. You'll only create more. The key is to look at things that feel better when you look at them. And there is no one, it does not matter what their state of being is, there is no one who could not move to wellness from illness, no matter how dramatic the illness is, if they knew how to tap back into that well-being that is always being offered to them.
Not everybody does. That's the whole... I'm dealing with my mother right now, who just announced to me a few days ago that she has breast cancer, and she's got to go back in for another operation. And
Well,
she told the doctor, she said, well, if it looks really bad, then I'll just have the whole breast taken off. And I told her, I said, I think she doesn't know about Abraham, but I'm thinking I need to try to get some of these principles to her.
Well, don't be concerned about allowing her to have the experience that she is having, because sometimes, even though you're well-meaning, you can throw a monkey wrench in what's working for her. In other words, she might very well have enough belief in the medical system as it is that it might be the perfect fix for her.
I understand that, and
Yes.
that's going to be her goal.
Yes.
Or her
And so
thing,
just root
but-
for her and let her know that you believe that she will be well and that she'll find the way and that you trust the doctor. Good time for a segment of lunch.
Thank you.
Indeed. We are.